Welcome to Q&A practice. We'll start with some warm-up, little two voice. Get our fingers moving. And we'll start with the defense attorney. Ready? How far were you from this masonry building when you received the call? I don't recall where I was, counselor. The officer that called you was Officer Kraft and Officer Fleming. When you received this call, did they tell you that they were on their way to the masonry building? I believe they did, yes, sir. They didn't tell you that they were already there. They said they were on their way and they'd like a backup there. Did they tell you why they were going to the masonry building? Yes, sir. What were you told? They received information from a citizen at the station that there was possibly a rape in progress at that location. You received this information while you were in the police car? Yes, sir. Did they tell you at that time, while talking to you in the police car, that somebody had come into the police station? Or did they tell you that later? As I recall, they told us that while we were en route, that somebody had come into the station and made a complaint. I think what they said is that they had a citizen's call. I recall they said it was at the station. What is a citizen's call? A citizen's call is when a citizen brings a need for police action to our attention. Is that by telephone? It could be by telephone, but in most cases that would come out as a radio call. Generally, a citizen call is a face-to-face contact with a citizen. About a minute passed or so from the time you got the call until you got to the building. I would say between a minute and 5 minutes. I don't really recall where we were when we got the call, counselor. When you got there, Kraft was already there? Yes, sir. I believe he arrived shortly before we did. And another car came up after you arrived? Yes, sir. Alrighty, now let's get to our transcript and do a little for voice practice. We will start with the plaintiff. Ready? Okay, and there's mention about a woman by the name of Mindy. Did Mindy work for you? Yes, sir. Okay, what was shortly? What was Mindy's last name, if you remember? Mindy Tyler. All right. Then there's a mention of Susan Lane. Susan worked for you. Yeah, just for about 2 or 3 months. That's all. Do you know who hired Susan? I did. Her boyfriend said, my girl needs a job, and I trusted him. Let's see. Who was her boyfriend? I really don't. I forgot his name. Was it someone you knew, though? Someone that you were acquainted with? He used to come to the bar occasionally and drink. Well-mannered. Okay. In this time frame you've been talking about, let's say like the last half of 2004, was it the case that usually there would be only one bartender who would work at a time? Well, we didn't have that much business, to be honest with you. Okay, but yes, sir. All right, there was also this man that we've come to know as Ron. My impression is that Ron used to come around a lot to the bar. Did he ever? He used to have a beer or two. All right, talk with people. And did he ever do things, like little, I don't know, chores or services for the bar? Not when I was there. Sometimes he asked the girls to, do you need help with the bottles? And the girls would give him a bottle from the storeroom. So I told the girls, listen, that's not his job. That's your job. Okay? When they got sort of lazy, took advantage of it. Okay? When he offered his help. All right, what about, there's been a man by the name of Juan Castillo that's been mentioned today. Do you know who that is? Yes, sir. Who is that? Somebody told me he was selling drugs, so I 86 him from the bar. And so when was that? I can't pin down exact date. Well, I went up to him and I told him I don't want you in my bar. Okay, stay out of my bar. Do you remember, was this before or after Susan Lane worked there? I think it was before. Okay, and as you think back today, do you have any sense in time of anything more specific about when that might have happened? What? When you talked to Juan? No, it was before. Before, okay. That's all I know. Okay, you mentioned there's this sign that's been discussed that says, yes, no drugs or something like that. It says no drug use or sale on the premises. Who put that up? I did. When did you put that up? Oh, I'd say a couple years. Was it before 2004, you think? Yes. What caused you to put that up? Why did you put up that sign? Well, I didn't want people coming in and, using drugs. I don't want people coming in selling drugs because my license is on the wall. And I explained it to them. I don't want it ripped off that wall because I read in the paper, the restaurant paper, people get into trouble for that before you put the sign up. And I know you mentioned you read the paper. Had anyone ever said to you that there might be people were maybe selling drugs inside, and so you thought it was a good idea to put the sign up? No, they wouldn't tell me anything. They wouldn't tell me anything, sir. All right. Did you have any kind of a suspicion or thought that there was some kind of, drug thing going on in the bar, and so putting up the sign would be a good idea? No, we had working people there, like plumbers, electricians. They all had jobs, so I didn't think nothing of it, really. They were friendly people. All right, so you put up the sign only because you read something in the paper? Yes, sir. The restaurant, bar and restaurant, I believe. All right. And other than that, you didn't think that there was any, drug kind of problem at the Horseshoe? No, sir. There were working people, professional people, and I didn't think they would be fooling around, risking their job for that. So during this time, let's say in this 2004 period, did anyone, whether it was your employee or customer or the police department, did they ever come to you and say, Mr. Kang, we think that that there have been some drug dealings that are occurring at the Horseshoe? Nobody told me, nobody warned me, and if they did, I would have taken action immediately. No further questions. Any redirect? No. Thank you very much. You may step down. Okay, thank you, sir. You can call your next witness. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Van is getting her. Okay. Cassie Brown. Okay, please raise your right hand so I can swear you in. All right, please be seated and state your full name for the record and spell it for us. Cassie Michelle Brown, Cassie Michellebrown, and you spelled Cassie Cassie. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. West. Thank you. Are you employed at the Horseshoe? I was, not now. From what period to what period were you employed there? from around February 2002 to when was it that it was, I don't know, it's been a couple of months or whatever since they closed or whatever, or they remodeled or whatever. I don't know the exact date. What were your duties while you were employed there? Bartender. And did you become acquainted with a customer by the name of Ron Diaz? Yes. And how is it you knew Ron? He was a customer. You know him for any other reason? No. Were you and Ron able to communicate okay? Sometimes. And why sometimes? Well, I'm not Spanish fluent. Okay. And I don't speak any Spanish. Okay. Or understand it. So, did Ron speak any English? Yeah, I guess you'd call it that. Yes. What was it, broken English or broken Spanish, or how did he express himself? It was very bad English, I guess. You know what I mean? A lot of accent, a lot of slang, you know what I mean? All right. Just relax a little bit. What I'm trying to ascertain from you is a description of how one would communicate with Ron, how he spoke, what his language was. To your knowledge, did he speak English fluently? Yeah, yes. And that will conclude our Q&A practice.